The internet loves wild theories, but one of the strangest is the claim that global pop superstar Katy Perry is secretly JonBenét Ramsey, the child beauty queen whose tragic death in 1996 stunned America. At first glance, the theory sounds unbelievable, but it spread quickly across YouTube, Reddit, and conspiracy forums. Today, we'll explore where this claim came from, what evidence people point to, why some believe it, and why the facts prove it false. The tragedy of JonBenét Ramsey. JonBenét Ramsey was a 6-year-old beauty queen from Boulder, Colorado, whose life was cut short in December 1996. Her parents reported her missing after discovering a ransom note in their home, demanding $118,000 for her safe return. Hours later, her father discovered her lifeless body in the basement of their house. She had suffered blunt force trauma and strangulation. The case quickly became one of the most notorious unsolved crimes in American history. The odd circumstances surrounding her death, such as the unusual ransom note and conflicting evidence, left investigators divided on whether the family was involved or if an intruder had entered the house. Despite decades of investigation, no one has ever been charged, and the case remains open to this day. This lack of resolution not only devastated the Ramsey family, but also fueled endless speculation, theories, and debates that continue nearly 3 decades later. Enter Katy Perry. While the world was still haunted by JonBenét's unsolved murder, a young girl named Catherine Elizabeth Hudson, later known as Katy Perry, was pursuing a career in music. Born in 1984 in Santa Barbara, California, Perry grew up in a religious household where gospel music shaped her earliest creative interests. She began recording and performing as a teenager and even released a gospel album under her birth name in 2001. A few years later, she reinvented herself as Katy Perry and shifted into mainstream pop. Her breakthrough hit, "I'd Kissed a Girl" in 2008 catapulted her to international fame. By the 2010s, he was one of the most recognizable faces in pop culture, scoring chart-topping singles, performing at the Super Bowl, and becoming a household name. It was at the height of this fame that her name unexpectedly got pulled into one of the strangest internet conspiracies of all time, where the theory came from. The bizarre idea that Katy Perry is actually JonBenét Ramsey first surfaced around 2014, but gained viral traction in 2016, when a conspiracy theorist named Dave Johnson uploaded a YouTube video promoting the claim. In his video, Johnson suggested that JonBenét's death had been staged, that her parents were complicit in the plan, and that the young girl was groomed to later reemerge as Katy Perry. He supported his claims with side-by-side comparisons of JonBenét and Perry, insisting their facial features, especially their eyebrows, were too similar to dismiss. The video spread quickly online, gaining millions of views and sparking debates across YouTube, Reddit, and Facebook. Even though the timeline made no sense, since Perry was born 6 years before JonBenét, it became an irresistible topic in internet culture, combining two elements that always attract attention: true crime and celebrity gossip, the evidence that fuels belief. Supporters of the theory often point to superficial similarities. They argue that JonBenét and Katy Perry share the same eye shape, smile, and overall facial structure. The eyebrows, in particular, are highlighted, with some believers claiming that eyebrows don't change, they only get shaped, using this as their strongest visual argument. Others claim that Perry's parents bear a resemblance to John and Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's parents, suggesting that the Ramseys supposedly helped hide their daughter and reinvent her life. Some conspiracy theorists even interpret Katy Perry's songs as containing hidden clues, with tracks like Rise and Wide Awake being twisted into supposed references to a secret childhood. None of this evidence stands up to serious scrutiny, but in the world of viral conspiracies, these kinds of surface-level connections are often enough to keep the story alive. Why people believe it. The persistence of this theory says more about human psychology than it does about Katy Perry or JonBenét Ramsey. For one, people are naturally drawn to mysteries, and JonBenét's unsolved murder remains one of the most haunting true crime stories in modern history. The lack of closure leaves room for speculation, and conspiracies thrive in that vacuum. Humans also tend to see patterns even where none exist, So when side-by-side photos of Katy Perry and JonBenét are presented, some people convince themselves the resemblance must mean something. Add in the power of the internet, where shocking and bizarre claims spread quickly, and it's easy to see how the theory took hold. On top of that, celebrity culture makes the idea more attractive. Katy Perry is one of the world's most famous singers, and attaching her name to a notorious case only makes the story more irresistible. The facts that debunk the theory. Despite its viral popularity, Katy Perry-JonBenét theory falls apart under the most basic fact-checking. Katy Perry was born in 1984, while JonBenét was born in 1990, making Perry 6 years older. At the time of JonBenét's death in 1996, Katy Perry was already a 12-year-old girl pursuing her early interest in music. By 2001, she had released her first gospel album under her real name, which is well documented. In other words, Perry's timeline is clear, public, and verifiable, while JonBenét's tragic death is supported by police records, autopsy reports, and DNA evidence. Their families are entirely unrelated, with Katy Perry's parents being Keith Hudson and Mary Perry, while JonBenét's were John and Patsy Ramsey. The idea that these two separate lives could somehow be merged into one is simply impossible. The harm caused by the theory. While some may see the theory as a harmless internet joke, it has real consequences. For the Ramsey family, who have lived for decades under the shadow of their daughter's unsolved murder, such conspiracies are cruel and painful. Suggesting that JonBenét's death was staged dismisses the reality of their tragedy and reopens old wounds. For Katy Perry, being tied to the story has also been unfair. As one of the world's most recognized pop stars, she is no stranger to bizarre rumors, but linking her to a child's murder case is particularly damaging. More broadly, theories like this mislead the public, distracting people from real evidence and serious investigative work. Instead of focusing on solving the actual crime, attention gets wasted on unfounded claims that spread misinformation. Why it still circulates. Despite being thoroughly debunked, the rumor that Katy Perry is JonBenét Ramsey continues to resurface. Part of the reason is internet meme culture, where wild claims get shared for shock value or humor, even when no one truly believes them. Another factor is the general distrust some people have toward authority and official narratives, which makes them more open to conspiracy theories. Most importantly, stories like this thrive because they are entertaining, combining celebrity gossip with true crime mystery in a way that grabs attention. In the end, the theory persists not because it has any truth to it, but because it fits perfectly into the internet's appetite for strange and sensational stories. The claim that Katy Perry is JonBenét Ramsey is false. The timelines don't match, the families are unrelated, and the evidence doesn't support it. Yet the fact that this theory became so popular shows how easily misinformation can spread when it blends mystery, celebrity, and tragedy. JonBenét Ramsey deserves justice, and Katy Perry deserves recognition for her music, not for a conspiracy that distracts from the truth. At the end of the day, this viral theory is nothing more than an internet myth, one that tells us more about the power of rumors than about either of the women at its center.